Happy Halloween! It is the time of year everybody loves a good story from the spirit world. I'm Melissa Ridgen, and today we are putting the other side in focus. You can join in our conversation. Our phone lines are open now. Call us toll-free at 1-877-647-2786. You can also tweet us at APTN InFocus. Before I introduce you to our guests, who you will know if you're a fan of this show, let's start by taking a look at an incident from Season 3 of The Other Side at the Senator Hotel in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
I actually stayed in this room last night, but I didn't experience anything concrete. I noticed when I first walked into the room, it was very cold, and throughout the whole night I couldn't sleep. I could feel a presence near me, but I didn't feel threatened. It was just very unsettling knowing that the entity was present.
There's definitely a presence with you in the room, and it seems to be stronger when you're by yourself versus having a large group of people. But you know, it's not necessarily that it's threatening, but yeah, it's just sort of ever present there, kind of just watching you and hanging out.
And you stayed in this room as well,
I did.
But your experience was much different.
Yeah.
Have you been trying to make contact happen with me since the beginning, Jim?
In the middle of the spirit box session, hell broke loose.
Jim?
Yeah, the lamp moved off the table, and in that moment, it, you know, if the spirit that was present is capable of moving a heavy object like that, and it sounds like it has, that's a lot of force and that's a lot of strength coming through. We've broken the lampshade, assumably on impact. Oh my God, I've never even comprehended that something could move an object like that.
When you were here, did you feel threatened by whatever was present?
Honestly, when the lamp hit the floor, I felt threatened at that point, but only because it was so jarring. And the more I think about it, the more I thought about it afterwards, it felt more like that was just a frustrated sort of burst of energy, like
trying to grab your attention.
Trying to get my attention in some way.
Joining us now, two of the three stars of the show, Jeff Richards, a mentalist, an intuitive, and a father of 4 little boys. His extremely sensitive readings of people amaze audiences and drive listeners to his paranormal radio show. But even more amazing is his ability to juggle the demands of parenting with all of this, constant and pervasive contact with the unseen while you're doing that. While it's sometimes mentally and spiritually draining, he says he chooses to keep sharing his gift and forging ahead with 1 foot planted firmly in this world and 1 in the other side. We also have with us Tom Charles, elder and spiritual guide. Legend has it that Tom's skills as a tracker in the north doesn't just come from experience. His keen intuition seems to come from somewhere else entirely. Every search is an attempt to heal the gaping wound of loss and bring answers to those who desperately need them. Tom keeps the show on its true path with his quiet determination and binds up loose ends and brings peace to the living and the dead. Michaela Shannon, the third of your trio, she couldn't join us today. She had an engagement in Toronto and unfortunately couldn't be here. So for each of the investigations, Jeff uses his abilities to initiate contact and reach out to the spirits. Michaela digs up for the story behind the story, and both seek the cultural guidance from Tom, who attempts to guide the spirits to the other side and restore balance and harmony. Okay, so explain to us what we just saw with the lamp.
Yeah, I had goosebumps sitting here watching that. It was, honestly, it was one of the scariest moments I've encountered in 4 seasons of the program. Something moving with that force and that direction, and it's a lamp, a heavy lamp on an end table in a hotel. Not something that's easily moved. I mean, they're made to kind of stay in place in a very specific way. So, you know, we captured that. They actually had me staying in the room that was apparently very active just prior to us doing a live stream, prior to that episode being shot. So that, you know, we were revisiting that, and to go back to that space now in that moment, I haven't even thought about that in a while.
What happened after? Did you feel that there was, did you understand why that lamp did what it did? Was there any, or did you
at the time, it seemed as though there was some sort of aggravation and irritation at the process that I was going through. So oftentimes, and I think Tom can attest to this, when spirit tries to interact, there's frustration there sometimes because it's very difficult for them to convey their message or to give us the information that they're trying to, because we don't always pick up on it. And
Right.
our devices are sometimes just not the best form of communication. So I think that spirit was frustrated.
I would guess different spirits would have different preferences in how they want to communicate, so that makes sense. This is, it seems like you guys have a hazard of a job that most of us don't have, you know, flying lamps and whatnot. I'll ask you first, Tom, what brought you to this line of work?
Well, I just want to say something in regards to what Jeff was saying.
Yeah.
It's just like having your child, and your child is saying, if you have more than one child, they say, talk to me, I want to show you daddy, daddy, daddy. And now these spirits are doing that. They want to jump in first. They want to make the first contact. So they make these disturbing noises or moving things around. We catch their attention. And they catch our attention, of course, and the audience attention. And what brought me into this place, I guess, would be, like I've been doing searches for over quite a while, and I have this sense of what the person is going through, what's missing. I try to see through their eyes what they see last or they smell last and things like that, and then I expand on it. And there's other times I get it feels like an electrical shock in my head. And then I take a picture of that, and then I open it up and see what's behind it. And then with the experience of the last number of years, 5 years I think it is, with the show, learning from Jeff, learning from Michaela and them, learning from other people that we visit, the live ones, it improved what I do.
You're kind of honing the gift that you have,
yeah.
because you're using it more. You used it prior to the show, though, right? Like
Yes, yes.
When did you realize, at what point in your life did you realize you had a gift, and how did it kind of unpack for you?
My first real search was in 1979, but prior to that I had lost my aunt off the bridge in PA, and that was in 1970.
How old were you?
Geez, I was just a young guy, and I couldn't do anything about it. I got frustrated, I got mad, I cried a lot. And to this day, we have never found her. And knowing that feeling in my heart, and I know the feeling that the other people when they lose their loved ones. So in '79, we did a search. People were doing a search, and then I got involved in it. And basically overnight, found the tracks, found the location where the kid was, and we pulled the kid out next day using our CMP dog. Because the kid was small, big body, small mind, and he took off on us, and we couldn't catch him. So we had to use the dog. So over the years, I've been trying to improve on that and see how I can find and how I can help families.
And so you go from doing actual humans, tracking humans, you evolve to now talking with spirits.
So when I'm focusing on the person that went missing, all of a sudden I started to make these contacts with these other people who have passed on. And again, they're trying to jump in front, trying to get in line, butt in line, and talk to me type of thing. And then realizing that when I was asked to do the show, people knew, I guess, the abilities I've got or the gift I was given. They wanted to enhance that into the show as the spirit guide. And hence the title. And I've enjoyed myself with it. And there's in the series that we've done last 5 years, there's things that I sit back and they scare me, they startle me, and there's no answers to them. Why? Why are they making these noises? There's one episode, I remember locking something, and we're doing the show. And
I remember that one too.
And no reason. I put a padlock on it, and I put a little closer thing, a lasp on it. It came wide open, hard, bang, bang, bang type of thing. And I said, I closed that door, I locked that door. And I went towards it, and I got stopped because there's no steps on the other side.
Yeah.
And that door was open from the other side. in the real world, other side,
The
from because
actual other
there's
side.
no steps, eh? And it scared me, it spooked me.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, just...
Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right, Tom. I think there are certain moments that we experience where it's totally impossible what we've gone through. I recall with the door, that was the Prince House, Calgary, Alberta, a door that had been locked, latched, completely closed, came wide open, and everyone in the room felt this energy, and it was, as Tom was saying, a wall that was preventing him from going out, which would have been a disastrous fall for you, but the door comes wide open at one point, just inexplicable.
When did you realize you had this gift?
I'd always had things that had occurred throughout my life. I recall at a very early age seeing my grandfather before he passed away, but I never had a frame of reference or a way to sort of frame, you know, what I was experiencing. And then I was involved in a car accident that I had dreamt about a couple days prior, and the dream was so vivid and so real. Everything in the dream felt like I was there, seated in the seat of my car.
And how old were you?
I was 19 years old.
Okay.
I was 19 years old. I'm sitting in the car, and I could feel everything, the steering wheel, the seat. This car comes zipping by me, zooms in front of me, and I hit the car in the dream. I wake up, obviously very disturbed by this, and kind of put it aside. You know, thought of it just as a nightmare, just as something that maybe... We all have them. We all have dreams where horrible things happen to us. But
And vivid, some way more vivid than others, right?
Yeah, but it was a couple days later when I was driving in my car down that same stretch of road, and a song came on the radio, and I went, "This is the song from that." Like a part of me went, "This is. I remember being here," and then, whoosh, bang, and now I'm involved in the exact same incident in real life, and that's the point when I said, "I need to start looking into this further to determine exactly what this is." And of course, what I was talking with and what I was dealing with was intuition, was that sense of knowing, which is not far removed from the ability to communicate with spirit. Spirit communicates through that same path, that same channel
Makes
that we
sense.
access when we try to know things about our own futures.
Okay, I want to go to another clip from the show. This one is from North Battleford at a family home. Let's take a look.
Are you evil? Wow. So you want to play hardball, right? Yeah. So you want to have a little fight? Yeah. You want to fight me? No. You want to fight somebody else? Yeah. Is the person you want to fight in this room? Yes. Is it this guy right here? Yes. Okay. You are not allowed in any way, shape, or form to hurt, injure, follow, attach yourself to anyone in this home. Do you understand? No.
We're willing to talk with you, we're willing to communicate with you, but you are not allowed to harm another person here, including myself, anyone else on the staff, anyone involved in this production, including the families that lives in this house. Do you understand? I can feel like heat on my neck.
Okay, don't touch your neck. Just let it. Don't touch your neck. We need a camera on Jeff. You feel it really hot?
Yeah, on the back of my neck and right over on this side as well.
Okay.
What do we got?
Slap mark on your neck, buddy. Turn around. It's getting redder and redder. It's going here. You can see the scratch marks on his neck starting to form right now. Can you see them?
What is this? This isn't. I'm not. Am I bleeding? I'm not
No,
bleeding. am I?
no. It's not that bad.
No, there's just
This.
Okay.
Now this is serious stuff that we need to document here.
Should we get in the actual light? Can we leave the space right now?
No,
Actual
don't
light?
leave the space.
What do we got here? Do we
Just
have?
go over here.
I just want to. See, can I see? Like in a mirror?
At that hot sensation that you
It
get.
was like heat right away on the back of my neck,
Yeah.
and it was like right. It was almost like I had like a collar of heat right around my neck, right there.
And you can see the scratches, and it's going to come up, and we've got more forming right here. Whatever you do, don't touch your neck, Jeff. I'm just going to let it do its thing here. when it turns physical, when the lights or the knocks turn physical, that's when you have something to worry about. That's when you're dealing with something aggressive and angry. Correct?
What was all that about?
After that happened, I wandered out into the street with Bill, and I got sick. I got physically sick. I contemplated walking away from this project completely. In that moment, I was scratched. I was attacked by something that I couldn't see, and it completely turned my entire perspective on what it was possible for spirit to do.
Right.
Completely upside down. And of course, it made me think in that moment, well, if it could do that to me, what about Tom? What about the other members of the team? What about the crew? What about my own family at home? You know, is it possible that they can attack and take that energy and use that against other people? It was completely jarring.
So you hadn't encountered anything like that?
Never.
That house, I remember that episode in particular seemed to have a bad mojo about it. Probably not the right word, but I don't remember how that ended up on that episode. How did it?
Well, Tom was able to be pretty instrumental in helping that situation. Do you remember that, Tom?
There's some memory of that I want to leave behind there.
Yeah.
And even myself and some of the other crew members in the cast, they wanted to say, forget this. This is too much for us. And we wanted to back away. Even myself, I felt, holy smokes, what's going on here? This doesn't happen. This physical contact in that fashion doesn't happen. Yes, we can feel them. We can feel the heat, the coldness of them. We can see them. They move things around. But it's the first contact when you can actually see a slap mark or a scratch marks or something on the back of the head. And those marks continued growing into the brighter red. They weren't just, if they were made 2 hours ago, they would have faded away.
Right.
But they're fresh. It happened now.
Did that spirit end up being sent along his or her way?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We are going to take a quick break, but we'll be back with Jeff Richards and Tom Charles, hosts of The Other Side. And later in the show, we're going to hear from a paranormal investigator who has visited a former hospital that carried out experiments on Indigenous patients. The spirits of some reportedly have not moved on. And we'll take some callers, too, so stay with us. Join our conversation now. You can call in toll-free at 1-877-647-2786. Like and watch us live on the APTN News Facebook page. Follow and tweet us at APTN InFocus. And send your thoughts in an email to infocus@aptn.ca. Hello and welcome back to our special Halloween edition of In Focus. We're here with The Other Side hosts, two of The Other Side hosts, Jeff Richards and Tom Charles. We have a caller that we'd like to go to right now. We have Bart from Winnipeg. Hello, Bart.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
What's your story? You have a ghostly story?
Well, when I was 15 years old, living in Winnipeg, at the time going to university, me and my dad lived at this house, 230 Morley Avenue. And I had found some blueprints in the wall for the city of Winnipeg, and they're like dated back from the 1800s and 76. I can't quite remember, but I think it was 1876. And then we started having paranormal activity happening.
Like what?
Right after that, and I could hear voices in the basement, like kind of like muffled voices, and almost like a staticky type. You can almost understand what they're saying, but you couldn't quite make it out. But you can. It was kind of eerie, So this was going on, and then one Saturday afternoon, I came home, and also I went to my dad was watching HBO, and I walked by, said, "Hi, I'm gonna go take a rest in your room," and all of a sudden the corner of the wall, kind of like almost like a TV screen, opened up like a circle, and all of a sudden these three balls shot out. of light, and all of a sudden I started seeing apparition faces start to show. And then I was like, holy moly, what's going on? I went to yell for my dad. And as soon as I went to yell for my dad, they came down on my chest like a poltergeist and took all the airway. Couldn't breathe. So after a couple of times that happened, I was like, holy moly, I get the message. They don't want me to tell anyone what's going on. And so
did you move out?
Oh, yeah, definitely. After I had a talk with my dad, and after he told me you heard the voices too, and we kind of like connected and sort of that, and moved out shortly. I put the blueprints back. So this happened at 230 Morley. If you want to see if there's any activity, I don't live there anymore. I'm 52 years old.
A future The Other Side episode, perhaps. Bart, thank you so much for phoning. We'll ask a couple questions about that. So is this something... You've heard stories like this, or
it's always amazing the stories that come out, because it's not just locations that are famously active. You know, we know these spaces that are famously documented, but what's always amazing to me are the individual stories that come out of people's private lives, their residences, their homes.
Like that one in North Battleford.
Exactly like the one in North Battleford. Others that we've covered, and Bart's story certainly. It's
funny that you're talking about the North Battleford story. Now, where was that rebellion that happened? In the North Battleford area. And now the map and the date that this gentleman, Bart, gave us, 1886. Rebellion was 1885.
Yeah, and I'm not sure where Morley Avenue is, but I know the battle site is not far from here.
So my feeling was, the gentleman I was talking, the questions I was wanting to ask was, what nationality are you? Have you got any history with people from that time period, and to see if they were still trying to make contact with you. Again, like I said, they're trying to bang on walls to catch your attention. Maybe the spirits are their ancestral spirits, and they're banging on the wall or giving them clues they want to make contact.
That's something. Well, I hope Bart's still watching, because that's maybe something that he can think of and go with. Okay, so we are going to go to another clip. Tom, you had a special encounter in season 2 during your investigation of the Parktown Hotel in Saskatoon. Let's take a look at that.
Tom, are you picking up on anything?
Something over to the left-hand side of me.
If you're standing over to the left-hand side of us right now, of Tom over here, can you come forward and speak to us directly?
It feels like it's down there someplace, eh? Right, yeah. A little bit to the right.
Do you hear Tom again?
Yeah. A little bit to the right. With the light. More to the right.
Wait, oh no, that was just the light.
Right there, yeah. Oh.
There we go.
There you go.
What did you hear?
Say that again, please. Did you say Roger?
I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to feel frustrated. And I don't think it's me that's feeling frustrated, but I'm starting to feel like frustration.
You're getting pissed off from something?
Well, it's just like there's frustration coming, and I think if we're not careful, I think he's going to leave. Whoever's here is going to leave. They're going to leave us. That's what they're going to do.
This is Tom. Roger, is that you?
Yes or no?
Yes, you.
Roger, if that's you, I met one of your kinfolk outside here today.
Adam?
What?
Right there.
What was that? Still what?
Still buddies.
Roger, what have I got of yours?
That's a different voice altogether now.
You say jacket?
I heard jacket.
Jacket. Okay. Did you say jacket, Roger? Is that you?
I heard jacket, plain as day.
Roger, thank you for the message. I still have it.
Roger, do you have anything else that you want to say to Tom? Hey, look up.
Look up.
Look up.
Does that make sense to you, Tom?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
It's a long,
I heard it say moving on.
Yeah, start moving on.
Start moving on.
Is what he said.
Thank you, Roger. Bye now.
Tom, are you all right?
Yeah. You know, I thought I recognized that voice.
Who's Roger? I was going to say, do you mind if we ask who Roger is?
Roger's my brother-in-law. He worked for corrections, and he died because of, I believe, diabetes. And I ended up with his correction officer's jacket. And I still have it in a hanger.
What made you bring up his name tonight?
I thought I recognized his voice.
So you heard him on there and you thought it was him.
Yeah. So I waited until he said it again.
Then you asked him what he had and he said jacket, and that's what he had.
Yeah. And Roger did stay in this hotel when he came down for therapy and things like that. To visit his doctors, this is where they would stay.
That's emotional still to see that. How do you feel watching that? I mean, we saw how you felt as it was happening. It has to have been a little surreal, but even to watch back again, why do you think Roger was there?
I have the discs. The families have watched it back home. I really have never watched it because of that experience at the park town. And Roger, yes, was my brother-in-law. He worked for corrections. And to verify that it was him, he would be, even the spirit form, would be the only one that knew what he gave me. Any other Roger, million Rogers, wouldn't say jacket. And I still have his jacket.
Why do you think he was there? Do you think he'd been there all this time, or just came back to visit when you guys were there filming?
He had stayed there during his medical trips at Parktown. And I remember him talking about Parktown all the time. And to me, why he come to visit was we were doing a search up north, and we could not find the young fellow. And then after the show, I phoned home and I said, "You guys need to look up in the trees." And that's where they found him.
We have another caller who wants to share something with you guys. We have Nancy from Michigan. Nancy, are you there? Is Nancy from Michigan there? She's coming. Hello. Is this Nancy?
Hello.
Hi,
Yes,
Nancy.
it is. Hi. How you doing?
So, what did you have to share with us, Nancy?
Do you know what I told the other guy, or the first two that I told you? I mean.
Derek, you're in my ear.
Yeah. I told him about a big dark shadow with glowing drool white eyes, and another one of my mom when she was a teenager in our tribe in Ukiah. And I think that these spirits come from sudden change in your life, where they start to haunt you. You went through a death or I don't think they wander in dark places or that they're stuck there. They seek people who are depressed or went through a sudden bad change, a really bad one. And through their depression, I think they give up on God. They give up on themselves, sort of. And I think that's where these ghosts kind of come from.
Yeah, Nancy, I want to ask our two guests here, what are your thoughts on why?
I absolutely believe that it's more likely to have a haunted person or an object than it is a haunted space. I think that they're drawn to people specifically. I think that Roger was drawn to Tom. I think that other individuals that we've had experiences with over the years and the seasons are drawn to us as a group. Think of it as if they're wandering through the fog and there are these brightly lit lamps that are attracting them and calling for them. So, I believe that what our caller is saying is accurate. when changes happen in your life, your perspective changes, and sometimes that makes you more open. It makes you seek or look for specific connections, and I believe that it's just that lamp getting brighter. That's why often they are attracted to us.
Or they might recognize your voice in the distance, and they want to attend to that voice. And then they recognize the voice, and they want to make contact with that voice. The caller is correct in saying that if there's sudden death or sudden experience of close to death, you're almost flatlined or half flatlined, your body senses increase. I've been run over by a car, been shot at, I've been almost drowned, I've been electrocuted a couple of times. A lot of things have happened in my life where technically I should be dead. But each time I have a different outcome on it, it increases my sensitivity, I guess. Yeah, people are not supposed to cry, but I was very sensitive with the Roger one.
I mean, you guys use your own gifts to communicate too, but you also have a lot of tools that you use in communicating with spirits. One of our viewers wanted to know, on social media, wanted to know more about the spirit box, how that works.
The spirit box essentially goes through radio frequency. So there's white noise that comes through the box. The idea is that spirit is able to use that frequency and that white noise to give some sort of vocalization. So we need to be very careful with that tool because there are segments, obviously, that are broadcast radio signals that come at very, 98 point, et cetera. These are radio stations, so we have to pay attention to what's happening around those broadcasts.
But only you seem to, I mean, I couldn't go buy one of those and use it. Would it work like that?
Absolutely,
or?
absolutely, without a doubt. The spirit box, the one we use on the program is called the PSB-7. It is one of the strongest tools that we have in that it actually allows the spirit to have a voice. You can hear audible vocalizations coming through this device, and it's something that anyone can use, that anyone can operate. You need to go through a very specific protocol and a process in order to use it, in order to ensure that you're using it properly. But anybody can use that device. It can make those individual spirits have that voice and communicate with you directly.
So maybe if there was something you sensed was in your home, that would be something you would consider to communicate.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to have to take another break. I feel like this is flying by way too fast. I have too many more questions. When we come back, we have a sneak peek of season 4 of The Other Side and a paranormal investigator who says the spirits of several Indigenous people used for medical experiments still walk the halls of an abandoned hospital. She's going to call in to chat, so stick around. Hello and welcome back. Season 4 of The Other Side airs tonight on APTN at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. But check the time in your community because times differ depending on where you are and who your cable provider is and whatnot. We have a sneak peek at the season that lies ahead. Here we go.
There's like eyes on me right now.
Oh my God! Who is this?
Just do it. Just go. Go, 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 go. Now.
Welcome to the old cell block.
Do you have a message for us? The casket is in the water.
Holy.
What?
Do you not see that? Oh, there's a man standing in the doorway. Can you see him?
Is it you who's been protecting me from the bad dreams?
Bad things happen in this room.
Creator, we ask you to come here again, and I plan to stick around just in case.
Revenge, murder, death, underground.
Halt! Who goes there?
Are you the one that shakes the piano?
I want to lock you in here right now, Michaela. Doing this job, you can't help but feel fearful and unsafe at times. You know, we are dealing with uncharted territory.
Killed.
Oh my God.
I don't even know. Okay, we have a caller here, Phil from Kingston, who worked with you guys on one of the episodes that we'll see in season 4, the Dark Waters episode. Phil, are you there?
Yeah, I am.
Hey, Phil.
Hey, brother, how you doing?
Great, guys. How are you?
Great.
Very well.
What's your question, Phil?
Well, it's
without giving. Don't make. We should say don't spoil anything for people who haven't seen the show, but you can ask as long as it's not a spoiler.
Yeah, no,
okay.
I won't offer a spoiler at all. I just want to speak to the professionalism of the entire crew. Tom taught me a new respect for the sacredness of the grounds. Walking in to the building, he took his shoes off, and Tom, I continue to do so out of respect from my learning from you. But I want to go back to the experience that you had there. It seemed to impact not only the cast, but the entire crew. And how is it that you leave that behind and not take that with you? You saw earlier how Tom's experience with Roger impacted him. How is it that you ground yourself?
Just like in searches, what I do is I have a big box in front of me in my mind. And that big box has a number and a padlock. And each of the experiences that I have, I open that box, and there's little boxes in there also with padlocks, but with the letter A. Each experience I take the little box out, I put that experience in there, I put a padlock on it, I put it back in number 1 box, it'll be 1A then. And further down, when I'm alone and I want to deal with the subject matter, I take those boxes out, line them up, unlock each one of them, and then I'll deal with them by putting them back in the box. They'll be open then, and any box I haven't dealt with properly, I will keep the lock on it. And then realizing this box exploded on me while we were doing this show, where I got very emotional because I really haven't seen that the episode after we experienced it at Parktown. And everything flooded in as a big pile of water hitting me, and it opened up that box. There's things in there I still have to deal with, and thank you for reminding me to do that.
I think we all sort of deal with it differently as well, and I think that at times, though, it serves us to not completely just forget the experiences, just like Phil recalls your teachings, Tom, and he takes his shoes off now. We let each individual investigation teach us something, and we take a part of each case with us onto the next case that's meant as teachings, that's meant as something that we're supposed to use in order to sort of build up what we do and to make what we do stronger. So we get rid of some of it, but at the other end, we have to learn from each case we do.
Yeah.
And we get to watch as you learn and move forward. Okay, so we have, we're going to go now to the phone. We have Rona with us. I'll tell you a little bit about the Charles Camsell. It's a hospital, abandoned hospital in Edmonton. It was built in 1913 and originally functioned as a Jesuit college for boys. But in 1945, the federal government converted it into a TB hospital for Inuit and other First Nations people in Alberta, the Yukon, and parts of the Northwest Territories. It was also a site where Indigenous people were involuntarily sterilized. The hospital closed in 1996, but as the story goes, you can Google this and you'll find lots of people who have these experiences. A bunch of these spirits remain. I had first heard of this hospital when reading a book called Haunted Canada with my 8-year-old and my partner, and it was a story about a construction crew that were downstairs. There was no power in the building, and an elevator started operating by itself, and long disconnected phone lines were ringing in there. And when they fled, as the story goes, someone's cell phone rang, and the caller ID on it was from the Charles Camsell Hospital. So Rona Anderson is a Edmonton paranormal investigator who has twice visited this hospital, and she wanted to talk to you guys about it, so she joins us now. Hello, Rona.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Good. So tell our team a little bit about what happened in your visits to there, and catch us all, our audience, up to date too.
Well, we had the first time we went in, it was just to see what was in there. It was just myself, my husband, and a person that got us into the building. And then the second time, it was my husband and I and a group of people that we split up, and so many people went to each floor, and then we sort of, shifted floors, and then came back to each other and reported what we would find, and so on. So we were doing an investigation like that over the period of an entire night. what I had found, because I can see and speak to spirits, was an incredible number of Aboriginal spirits who, of course, were there. The majority were either in absolute despair or they had so much anger, of course, for, you know, what had happened to them. And the one spirit that I encountered, which was in the basement where the auditorium was, there was a gymnasium down there, and he was sitting on a bench, and he had looked at me and said, you know, we did not ask to be here. And, you know, I said to him, I know that you did it. I'm sorry. I wish there was something that I could do. And years later, realizing that the man who had purchased the building is creating condos out of it. And these spirits are still trapped inside this building, some of them not crossing over because of the fact that they want people to know what happened in the hospital. They want it to be recognized that a lot of them died in the hospital. They weren't returned properly to where they originated from, and really there needs to be a huge spirit clearing from the building. So the man who owns it, Gene Dubb, who's an architect, he really won't have anything to do with Ben and I. So
you were saying you were hoping that somebody could get in. Maybe Jeff and Tom have some way of getting their show into it. You felt, Rona, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but we did talk earlier, and you had said that you felt that maybe something that needs to happen is for an elder to go in and help these. You had said that there was approximately 30 to 40 spirits you felt?
Yeah, I think that you know, if I could get in with a couple of other people that know how to send spirits into light, plus, you know, a couple of elders, maybe we can help a lot of the spirits that are trapped there move on.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask our guests here what are their thoughts about this. Whoever wants to go first.
Well, I mean, it's hard to say, I think, without me physically being in the space. I mean, we've heard many stories of spaces that truly we've gone into in our experiences and we found nothing.
Right.
We found that nothing was actually there. You know, sometimes it's unfortunate that development kind of trounces all over history. If that is what's happening in this case, that is very sad. But unless, you know, we're able to go into that space and to actually attempt our process and attempt communication, I mean, we would know on site going in there. So I can't really say too much. It does sound like it is a perfect storm of potential activity there. We've got lots of past experiences. We've got some stories that are coming from Rona and others, and then we have this attempt to now sort of push over history and forget those stories. So I assume that activity will happen in that space, but unless we're there, it's hard to say.
What are your thoughts, Tom?
What I was kind of thinking while she was talking was that over the seasons that we've been doing this, we've been involving more Aboriginal people from the area that we're at. So if we're in Mi'kmaq area, we will have a Mi'kmaq with us. If we're in Maliseet, we'll do Maliseet. Or if we're in Crow, we do Crow, the Saulteaux and the Cree and things like that. We get them involved. We talk to them, talk to their elders, talk to their leading people. How can we help them? We are in their territory. So in this case, I would say invite the people, if they're Innu or Inuit from that area, invite their elders, bring their drums, bring their songs to do the healing at that place. It is their people, spirit people will understand their songs.
Right.
And they will listen to those songs. As a Cree person, I could do it, but I need the assistance of the people of that area, the elders from that area. And it's a real good policy. We've held it in our show, and we try to make contact with and other Aboriginal people in that area, and get them involved in the show one way or the other.
Awesome. Okay, we have another caller who has a question for you, gentlemen. This is Laura from St. Catharines. Laura, are you there?
Hi.
Hello, how are you? We're running out of time, so it'll have to be a quick question if you don't mind.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess I am an empath, and I have things happen in the house all the time, but I also am connected with the animals. I also have a red-tailed hawk fly over me and the eagle. And I just wondered what that means. This question is for Tom.
A lot of times through our lives, we find these birds flying over us, even from the smallest bird, the whiskey-jack, and the hummingbird, and also the bigger eagles like your bald eagle and that, and then these other birds that come over our lives. We have made contact with them through the spirit world by having somebody that liked that bird, that enjoyed that bird's company. And when we say prayers, that is, the birds are one of the species of animals or bird life, I guess, that we give thanks to for being here. And we enjoy their life forms while they're here, their beauty, and also their, in some cases, if they're scavengers, we also enjoy their company. Myself, there's times I've experienced after a funeral or during a funeral, we'll have a number of eagles fly by that shouldn't be there, in a sense that they're not common in that area, or other birds. I went to one funeral where whiskey jacks were around a lot, and I couldn't understand it until I asked one of the loved ones, what's with the whiskey jacks? He said, at his strapline, he always fed the whiskey jacks. And that's a Canadian grey jay.
Right.
And so maybe the jays are coming to say their farewell too. And that's the way I took it.
Interesting. What are your thoughts? You have bird experiences?
Well, I think that signs and symbols come from all around us, and we have to pay attention to them. So those birds are of significance to our caller, and you should pay attention to what's happening in your life when you see those birds. There is some significance to be drawn and something that you're meant to be receiving as message when those birds are present.
Mainly a week before or a week after. You see them today, what happened last week and what's going to happen in the following week. And next time you see those birds, you'll have an understanding what may have happened or what will happen.
Well, we're almost running out of time, but I want to hear from both of you. What can viewers expect from season 4?
I think that season 4 is an incredible season for us. There are so many moments that I can pinpoint right now that had far-reaching consequences for us as a team. We see personal connections forged. It's the most deeply personal season in a lot of ways that we've experienced yet, because again, there are so many things that are coming through for us as individuals now.
Tom?
For myself, for season 4, I figured that was going to be it for seasons. And then the people from Angel Productions and Bamboo Shoot say, "Hey Tom, we have this next season coming up." And I was happy. And for season 4 of myself, going into Ontario and that, I've never really been in Ontario. And with this show, I've traveled across Canada now. And I was happy to meet the Mohawk way of life and the other tribes that are in there. And their little struggles, some people see them as little struggles, but they're big struggles that they're having. We're having the same struggles down here, whether they're Aboriginals or not. We all have these little struggles at home, in the community, and in region. And I was not happy that we see their problems, but I was happy to meet them, to show them, that get them to show me their lifestyle, their culture, their pride, and things like that.
Well, we look forward to seeing this. It's coming up tonight.
Yes.
We are out of time. I wish we had another hour, but the people who pulled the plug, pulled the plug. Thanks so much to the people of the other side who helped facilitate this, and to Jeff Richards and to Tom Charles, our guests. APTN is into the Halloween spirit this evening with ghostly goodness, including this Other Side Season 4, which kicks off tonight. Back-to-back episodes at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, but check your local listings because it's different wherever you live. This episode is going to be available for download as a podcast on our website at aptnnews.ca/podcast. If you missed any of the shows and want to catch up, you can check out the website, aptnnews.com. Or .ca. Sorry, I'm Melissa Ridgen. You all have a safe and happy Halloween. Thank you guys so much for being here, and thank all of you for watching.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you.